share my screen and get started. So a little bit about me. I'm Mike. I did my undergrad in mathematics with a focus on teaching, and I'm both a software and content developer here at MapleSoft. And today, I'm not here to show you all the little details about how this software works, but I really want to give you an overview of how it can make your life easier as an instructor. So what I'm picturing is, you're trying to revamp your course notes, you're trying to revamp your presentations, and maybe you need some graphs. So I want to start off just showing you some of the visualization capabilities here. And for some standard plots, I have this example already typed out. How quickly can I get a plot? I just execute it, 3 clicks, I click on the expression, I click plots, I click 2D plot, boom, just like that. And now maybe you don't like the defaults, and that's a-okay, because these are fully customizable, right? I can choose a different color, which one looks nice? Green looks pretty good. Choose line style, all that fully customizable. And now this is a standard plot. Another thing to note here is that you can input these expressions very, very easily, right? This is software meant for mathematics. So maybe I want to do a different expression, something like, let's do a cube root. I love the clickable math, just able to work through these templates, type in expressions as you'd expect. And instead of plotting, there's also this really useful tool, the plot builder. And this will sort of walk you through every single customizable piece of a plot. So for the basic options, again, I could change the color if I want. I could even change the line thickness. Any option imaginable. If I want to change the background color, I can do that too. Something to make it pop out. Ooh, that's a bit hard contrast. There we go. A little bit nicer. Now, if I want multiple plots on the same plot as well, we can do that too. So if I go back to this expression, maybe I want to show the derivative of it as well. I can differentiate that super quickly, the click of a button. And if I want to build this plot, I can do just that. Now let's copy this expression here as well. And there we go. Just like that, I can use the plot builder to walk me through multiple plots at once, and I have full control over them separately. So I can constrain. This is going to make sure that the axes are lined up correctly. Again, I'm not going to show you all of the details here, but just know you have full control. And this is within Maple, but how do I get this into my notes? Again, 3 simple clicks. I'm just going to right-click, export PNG, export it wherever you'd like, save it, you can drop it in wherever. And the same thing goes with expressions as well. It's really friendly to type in expressions, type them out here. And if I'm doing my course notes and say LaTeX or something, I can just right-click the expression, copy it as LaTeX, and then import that too. So nice and easy, really quick to get plots straight from Maple into whatever course notes, whatever lecture notes you're making. Now, functions are great and all, but math is much more than functions. So here's some more examples of some plots. Now this here, I'm just going to create a random data set of some points. And I'll plot this just so we can see what it looks like. Plot builder, try to get me the 2D plots. Oh, the plot builder's vanished on me here. There we go. 2D plot. Okay, we got some random data. Cool. But I want to show off the convex hull of this. Now, the convex hull is kind of like the bounding points that define the smallest perimeter around this data set. And Maple, of course, supports computing this. I can compute it, but what does it look like? A lot of commands have a secret option, output equals plot. And I say secret, but it's not secret at all. It's documented really nicely. I'm going to delete this plot because we don't actually need it anymore. And just like that, very quickly, I can both compute something and visualize it instantly. And just like before, I have full control as well. So if I click on this plot, maybe this yellow is a little hard on the eye, so I want to change it to something like black. Well, that doesn't work very well, so let's turn it transparent. And each component of the plot, too, also fully customizable. So let's change these circles to be solid. There we go. That's nice. And again, you can right-click, you can copy it, export it, nice and easy. Maybe I want to generate some more data. I'm just going to hide the output here. Maybe I want 20 points instead. What do 20 points look like? What about 30 points? Right, and I could just keep playing around with this until I get a visualization that I like and use that. Awesome. 2D is, now, like I said, functions are great and all. 2D is great and all. Can we do 3D plots as well? Of course we can. So volume of revolution, we can calculate it. Again, so many commands have a built-in output equals plot because it expects, a visual component with this too. And with one simple command, there you go. I've got a 3D plot. I can try to find the right view, just what I need before saving that and exporting it. Now, one of the questions I get all the time is, okay, how would I have found out about this random obscure command? How would I have known to output equals plot? And I'll be honest, I actually didn't know about this command until very recently. I primarily use MapleLearn, which is MapleSoft's online tool. And when I was looking for this example, I thought, can I get a graph of volume of revolution? And then I answered, this is Maple we're talking about, so yeah, we probably can. And I literally just went to the search bar, typed in volume of revolution, there it was, and then the documentation says, oh, you can just use output equals plot. So really, you just need to have an idea of what you want to visualize, and then it'll be possible to make that possible. And again, fully customizable, you can change the colors. I won't go through that all here. And again, even further yet, these are still kind of standard plots for calculus, but most of mathematics, a lot comes from calculus, but there's a lot more out there too. So here I love this example, so we'll go into some group theory. Consider taking the dihedral group, D3. And I remember when I first learned about groups, we were talking about the multiplication tables. So this is an example where, give it a second to load, there we go, where you take the elements, how do they multiply, what's the result? And this is something that you might be able to draw on a blackboard, to show your students, or a whiteboard, I guess, nowadays. But as soon as you go up in size, you look at something like D6, it can very quickly enumerate, look at all the elements of the group here. As soon as you go up in size, you're not going to draw this on a blackboard. It's not worth your time to do that, but it's so much easier to be able to just show this super quickly, throw it up on the board. What does this group look like? What does their Cayley table look like? And again, fully customizable. You can change the colors. There's extra information here. Maybe you want to group it in all of the documentation. It has this included in there. If I include conjugacy equals true, remake it, I can color them so that it'll color the different elements the same if they're conjugates. And right away, you can see some more patterns forming in the table, which is something that's a lot harder to draw, like I said, for a bigger group if you're just doing it by hand in front of the class. Now this is the group as a whole. Of course, if we want to look at subgroups of the group, there's a command to compute the center of the group, and we can look at that really quickly. See, okay, it's the trivial one. Awesome. And this is one subgroup. What if we want to look at all of the subgroups? Again, there's lots of very useful commands for all the corners of mathematics. And this one here, we can look at the entire subgroup lattice. And it's all organized in a way to present as much information as possible, right? This is software designed by mathematicians for mathematicians, right? So in the different layers, you have the different conjugacy classes, the different colors representing different information. So the blue one, that's the center, it's a trivial group. And the green ones, those are normal subgroups. And again, fully customizable. You can change the colors, you can change what the nodes look like, you can change what the edges look like for any kind of graph that you make. And these are subgroups of a group, but a group itself. I really like this. This is an example of D3. So this is what the different elements of the group are and sort of their relationship, right? How will the action change the different elements? And this is something that I wouldn't know where to even start with graphing without Maple. And it's super quick. I'll do another example with the symmetric group, S4 here. And it's something that can really help visualize the structure of what this looks like and communicate the concepts way better than any static image, or I think a hand-drawn image can do. So these are just a few examples of, again, these are some static images. You can find the right positioning, you can export it nice and easy. But what if you want something, a demonstration that's live and, moving? When we get it up and moving, it's really cool to demonstrate those too. And this is an example I borrowed from a professor that uses this in his tutorials. So I'll just take this function here, which is, it's a sound wave function. So if I go here, I click, again, few simple clicks. I'll just click on the plot builder. Right away, I got a 3D plot, which is cool. It's not quite what I want. I want to show an animation. It recognizes that I have multiple parameters, so I can just do that right away, one click. I'm going to do this from -15 to 15, choosing the range of my parameters, and I won't mess with any of the other options. I'll just build the animation. And there we go. If I click on it, I can play the animation. It'll go through. You can see it moving. That moved pretty fast. I have full control, so I can slow it down. I can reduce the FPS. There we go. Maybe I also want to loop the playback so it just keeps playing. Maybe I do want to speed it up. And again, full control, few simple clicks, something you can throw up on the board to really communicate the ideas behind these concepts and show off what these graphs actually mean. And now, I've just kind of scratched the surface with this here. Again, if you go to the help, there's the wonderful plotting guide. Plotting guide. There we go. I'll pull this up. And there are so many examples of different plots, right? 2D plots for everything imaginable. Frequency charts, any kind of statistics, 3D plots, vector charts. Um, I could scroll here, you're left to your own imagination of what is it that you want to do? And I'm willing to bet you that it's probably possible in Maple. Right, some of these very beautiful and fully documented as well, every kind of subtle detail that you want. Yeah, I should mention too. Maybe you want the command, right? So clicking through it is nice. Maybe you want some more control. There should be an option somewhere here to show me the command. Where is it hiding from me? Show command, there it is. So if you want the command as well, you can do that to recreate it later instantly, which is nice. So there you go. So that's plots at a quick glance. Now, plots and graphs and putting these into your notes is only part of being an instructor, right? And what if you want to create some materials as well? So lecture slides, lecture notes. You don't have to export it from Maple to whatever tool you're using. You can do it entirely in Maple. So I don't have this set up here, but one thing you can do is if I go back to this animation, I'm just going to press a hotkey and I can go into slideshow mode. In fact, I'll close these down so we don't see them. The animation, I've paused the animation, but there's a whole slideshow mode. You can do your entire presentation within Maple. You can make your course notes within Maple, right? There's lots of tools for editing the documents as a whole. You can export as PDF just to give to your students. You can even upload with 2 clicks, 1 click, 2 to the cloud, which is built in. So you can create a link to your document. And also, if you want to keep your documents private, there's ways to set that up. So only section A can see section A's notes, only section B can see section B's notes. All this built in, meant for making documents, really nice. And if it wasn't clear what presentations and demonstrations you can do with the graphs in Maple alone, one of the things I really love about this is the clarity of computations. The times I would get the most stares from students or when I would kind of gloss over like details of computations, right? Often there's a lot of computations that are there, but they don't tell the story of the bigger picture or concept, right? And as soon as they always want to see every single detail, as soon as you skip over something or do an aside, someone's going to get lost. So just as an example here, I'm going to input a matrix. I can choose my matrix size. Let's just get some random values. Again, super friendly to input all of this. Now let's say I was trying to get the LU decomposition as part of it. I can just go through here on the context panel, click through, get me the LU decomposition. There we go. And this would be a very clear, okay, we're going from this matrix to these matrices. This is a computation step, but we're skipping over details here. I really love how nice it is to lay out and how clearly these steps are made. And one of the best parts about this too is when you get an inquisitive student who says, oh, well, what happens if there's a column of all zeros? Well, okay, we can check nice and easy. We can just input it, press enter, and it'll recompute it right there on the spot. So no matter how many steps you have, you can re-execute all the steps in a row to explore on the spot what this computation looks like under different circumstances. And again, maybe I want to go a step further, and I'm going to copy this. Just with Control-C on the keyboard, it's nice and easy. I can assign L to be the lower triangular one. I can assign U as well. And just to show you how simple it is, right? I assign those and then notation as you'd expect it, L.U. There we go. It gives me my original matrix back. And yeah, so really the key idea I want to convey here is that when you're talking about the concepts as opposed to getting caught up in the actual calculations, right? That's when something like this is really useful just to sideload all that. So for an example, if you're setting up, what does a triple integral mean? Someone's going to ask, okay, but what is it, right? Okay, well, here's your answer. Don't worry about that for now. And again, inputting all this is super easy because this is meant for mathematics. Just at one click, there we go. I can get my triple integral. I can input whatever I like and execute it that quick. So that's what it's like if you want to show computations in class. And I've seen that done very, very effectively. But what if you want to make some questions, right? Maybe you have some homework you want to create. Maybe you have, just bonus questions or quiz or midterm. You can take this basic idea of starting with the answer, right? So I know that I want this expression to be the final answer of a factored number. What is the question, right? Well, you can use Maple to very easily help you figure that out, right? Okay, multiply it together, expand it, cool. But that's the basic idea. I want you to take this idea and think about how you'd apply it to your own course, right? What are you teaching? You can probably work backwards. As long as you can work forwards, you can work backwards too to find the question. And so here's a bit of a longer example with a system of equations. So say I want this matrix, and I'll work through step by step. I'm trying to row reduce it. So here's the first row operation, and I can multiply it out to say, okay, this is what the first operation does. Here's the second operation. I can multiply it out. Here's what the second operation does, and the third operation, and this is what the third operation does. I can get here and say, okay, this is the work I expect students to do, but this answer isn't very nice. Maybe I want to avoid fractions. I want something that works out nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define new matrix. So we'll make this the answer that I want. So we'll fill it with the identity to start. Maybe I still want this 3 here. And maybe I want some bigger number, 25. Okay, so if this is the answer that I want, what I can do is I can work backwards, right? I have all my steps, then I can input as I would expect in the notation I would expect the inverse operations of all these. So E1 inverse dot E2 inverse dot E3 inverse dot E. And there we go. I've computed this is the starting matrix I would need. And what's even better about this, if you're trying to make like an answer key or a solution set as well, here you go. If you can work through it yourself, maybe you can update this from the start and work through all the operations. You can say, okay, 1 check mark for this step, 1 check mark for this step, 1 check mark for that step. Here's the final answer. And there you go. Really clearly laying out the steps and setting up an answer key for any question you make. And now maybe you didn't want to figure out the steps and you just want the answer, right? I have this question, I want this answer. Again, you could do that. I could go to this matrix here that I want, solvers and forms. I want the row echelon form. There we go. And that's the answer that I want. Actually, I guess starting from here, I don't want to start from the answer and reduce it. It's already reduced. Start from the start and reduce it, just to double check. Now, there's more tools as well, right? So you can work through it by hand. You can follow your own steps. If you want to get fancier, you can use Maple to help you generate questions too. So there's this one really cool command, generate similar. So giving it this expression, this integral, it's going to generate me an expression that's very similar and ideally uses the same sort of steps to solve. Now, this is just one, but maybe I want to generate a whole bunch. So I can do repeat equals 3 and give me 3 of these questions. Awesome. Maybe I want more. Give me repeat equals 5. Maybe I want one question for everyone in the class. I could do 100, I could do 50. We'll see what that gives me. You can very quickly create a whole bunch of questions. And there's other tools in Maple as well for stuff like, creating randomized quizzes, creating, templates where students will work through their own work and then they can check their work all within Maple. So these tools can help you, create answer keys, create questions, lay out your work nicely step by step. And one of the biggest things overall, I think, is that it's awesome that it's all in one place, right? I used to have a website that I would go to for making my documents. I would have a separate website for making matrix calculations, a separate website for graphing, a separate website for integrals, and so on. But when it's all in one place, it's way easier and it's much quicker. And like I said before, the learning curve is pretty simple. You just have to know what it is you want to do. With one simple search in the help, it'll pop up for you. Now, if you want to take this to the next level too, right? This is useful for making your own resources. One of the best parts of Maple is exploring math. And I love this quote. Sometimes the best teachers don't teach, they just open doors. And it's anonymous. Someone on the internet, maybe it was generated by AI, I'm not sure. The point still stands, I think, where if you give this into the hands of your students, they can explore math much more quickly and much easier as well. This is something I would have loved, right? Even take a simple example, like consider the relationship between, the number of divisors and what a number factors to, right? And just with a click of two buttons, you can re-execute these commands and sort of explore it, try to come up with a pattern, try to see what it's like. And here's another example as well. If you consider some optimization problem. So here's an objective function, and here's some constraints. Okay, what's the maximum value? Sure, but what does that mean? Very quickly, again, with just a few clicks, I can click Plot Builder. I can get me a plot, and I can view the inequality. Okay, this is what the plot actually looks like. And again, I can go into detail. Maybe I don't like the colors. We'll fix that there. And for me, it was very mysterious when we talked about optimization and we were talking about the dual and complementary slackness. And of course, Maple can calculate that, right? No problem. But it can visualize it too, right? So if I copy the constraints into a new line, I can also use the plot builder here and very quickly get a very similar plot. Okay, 2D inequalities. Oh, I just got to make sure it's selected. But it wouldn't be a demo unless something went wrong, right? Unless we got at least one error. There we go. And so as a student, this is something I would have loved to be able to explore, right? But it goes hand in hand where it's not just beneficial for the students, right? Maybe you just want to make this your demonstration, right? This is the area that you're optimizing over. This is the dual area that optimizes. And you can see sort of the point that's in the middle between the two. This isn't something I tried beforehand, but maybe we can do that, right? We can just try to visualize both at the same time. So I'll copy these constraints, throw them into this plot builder too. Oh, like I said, it wouldn't be a demo unless there was at least one error popping up. But the point still stands, you can go through, you can get the command, you can expand on it, and exploring math, not only for the students, right, for yourselves as well. Maple is a very powerful tool for mathematics research, used all over the world, for the farthest, nichest corners of math and computation. Lots of cool work is always being done. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot here. Gone through it kind of quickly, but I hope this gives you a really overview, cool idea of what you can do with Maple, right? Some of the key takeaways, just to kind of go over everything. Visualizations, few simple clicks, you got them nice and easy. Creating materials, presentations, right? You can do presentations directly in Maple, right? You can have slideshow mode, you can create documents, you can export them to PDF, save them to the cloud, wherever you need. You can export specific expressions. If you even just use Maple to do your computations and then right-click, export that to whatever tool you normally use, it'll be saving you time already just with that. Creating questions, creating answer keys, reverse engineering your answer to make sure, reverse engineering your question to make sure that your answer is correct. Your answer is nicely done. And like I said, exploring math, both for you and the students. So this was an overview. If you're interested in Maple, if you can picture how you'd use it, make sure to reach out. I've been told that there's some good deals going on for early career faculty. So make sure to reach out for that.